Hey everyone, my name is Ben Chaish, and today we are looking at one of my favorite portrait lenses for the Leica M-mount system. And yeah, that's kind of a weird niche topic, but I think this one fits the bill. And that is the Voigtlander 75mm f1.5 Nokton. Full disclosure, this lens is on loan to me from CameraQuest, and I've actually had it for a long time now. So I definitely actually have had a lot of use out of it and has given me a lot more to think about and all that kind of stuff for this lens. So definitely grateful for that opportunity. And when it first got announced, I was super excited because I had felt like that slightly more telephoto look was just the thing that I was missing. I was always missing that 85 kind of equivalent that I had always had with a DSLR setup. It just seemed like this might be the sweet spot for someone like me. Now, the lens is a little bit long, obviously, because it's a 75mm lens, but it's not that big or that heavy. Yeah, sure, it's not going to just sit there, it's gonna fall over a little bit, but I would not say that this lens in any way would be an issue carrying around all day. Sure, it's just like a little bit bigger, but you can even see that kind of where the mount is, it's pretty small. It gets a little bit bigger right here, a little bit bigger right here. It's not big and heavy at all. By any means. So using this was definitely a welcomed trade-off. Now, especially if you're used to the Leica system and you are used to looking at frame lines and things, when you pull up a Leica, you see the 50mm frame lines on the outside and the 75mm frame lens on the inside. I am very used to photographing with the 50mm, and so there are definitely times where I'll pull this up and I will sort of just forget that I'm shooting a 75 and you know, kind of like look at the back or whatever and go, oh yeah, that's right. I need to kind of like reframe my stuff a little bit to get it to fit within the frame. It is interesting though, because when you're looking through the frame lines, it doesn't feel like that big of a jump. But if you are kind of used to using a 50mm and then you start using this, you're like, oh, it is a lot tighter, yeah. Now, one of the reasons I didn't buy this when it first came out, and maybe I got a good copy here, is because I had always heard that it had a bunch of focus shift issues. And for me, I really like to shoot full body portraits and as well as just regular portraits with a lens like this, which is the thing that led me away from picking this lens up. That being said, I have not found that to be the case at all. Maybe it's because I'm really good with using a rangefinder, but all of my full body stuff, everything that I used it for at weddings, in close, quick movements, all sorts of stuff like that, I never ran into any issues with it being out of focus. Not sure if that's something that just happened at the beginning, or a friend of mine had a bad copy, or I have a really good copy. Whatever the case may be, focus shift on this lens hasn't been an issue for me wide open. Now, a couple other really just awesome things about this lens in terms of specs. It has a 1.5 in terms of aperture, which gives you a decent amount of light and a decent amount of depth of field. It also focuses down to less than a meter at 0.7, which allows you to get very, very close to a subject. Definitely well enough to get some sort of portrait kind of length. I guess if you want to see that here, we can see more of like the distance. We're sitting right about here is minimum focus distance. Great little combo there, and gives you a very shallow depth of field at 1.5 and 75mm. I think the lens hood works really well. Isn't too big, isn't too small, definitely complements it in terms of look. And overall, if I am going to go out, especially for something like an elopement or a smaller wedding where I don't need anything longer than something like this, I found 75mm to be a really good focal length. Now for larger weddings, if you're a wedding photographer, 75 is a little short. So having something that's a little bit longer, especially if you aren't able to crop much because of 24 megapixels. Having a 90mm is definitely a little bit more helpful in that way. But again, for something like an elopement, I think that this kind of combo right here is a fantastic starter. So what I have here are the two of my favorite Voigtlander lenses that I've ever used. The 35 f2 Ultron version 2, I believe that's what this is, right? Yep. And then the Voigtlander 75mm f1.5. These are relatively inexpensive lenses. They look amazing on Leica cameras. They're pretty small and lightweight, give you great image performance. I think for someone that likes that kind of 35-85 field of view, this is a great pairing. There are a lot of just really inexpensive lenses that give amazing image performance now, making the Leica system a lot more accessible than it has been before. And honestly, obviously that's not the point of this video, but I think that especially with these two kind of combined for something like an elopement, if you tossed in maybe a 21 to give you that extra kind of expanse beyond a 35, that'd be just such a good kit and something that I've used a lot in the past and would definitely recommend if you are interested in kind of more of a portrait lens for the Leica system. As far as image quality goes, it's definitely plenty sharp. I really enjoyed the bokeh as well. It has definitely kind of like a swirly cat's eye kind of look to it. So it gives you kind of like a vintage feel in a way, while still being very sharp, giving you a lot of modern performances. So it's kind of the best of both worlds, if I'm being honest. It gives you a look that you would feel like comes out of like a vintage camera, but in a very modern, works on a digital camera kind of way. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but I was just really impressed with the image performance and really liked the rendering of this lens. It's kind of unique, but also tame enough that it can work for an everyday main kind of lens. So thanks so much for watching. If you're interested in this, I will definitely leave a link down below to CameraQuest, who supplied me with this. I definitely will be sending these lenses back. Unfortunately, it's definitely a lens that I'm very much considering picking up. Same thing with the 35. This is just such a good, relatively inexpensive combo that you can buy brand new, both for under $1,000 each. And if you're looking at getting some lenses in the Leica system, I don't think you can really go wrong with these in particular, and they make a really good set together. If you have any more questions, please leave them in the comments below. Subscribe if you aren't already, and I will see you all on the next one.